welcome to Becoming the Gentle Parent, the Teen Years, which is a podcast for moms navigating teen years with intention, emotional insight, and a commitment to connection over control. I'm your host, Kristi Crosson, a certified gentle parenting coach and a mom of a teenager myself. I work with parents who are ready to move beyond reactive patterns into more regulated relationship-based approaches to parenting, especially that align with the Bible and Scripture. So this show is going to be your space for evidence-informed guidance, some nervous system-friendly strategies, and practical tools that connect with both attachment science and faith. So let's talk a little bit today. Today's topic is about your teen's changing brain. Now, not a lot of people think about what's going on in your teenager's brain as they're growing from childhood into adulthood. But today we are talking about that, and let's get going. So if you've ever thought, like, what's happened to my sweet kid? You want to know what's going on with their moods, their focus, why their decision making even has seemed to take a dramatic turn. You're not imagining things. There's real brain science going on under the surface, and it's not just them trying to be defiant or willfully disobedient or not wanting to go along with what you are saying. I know that can be a real trigger for a lot of parents. So I think sometimes understanding what's going on in the brain can help you form a relationship with your child that is gentler and makes a lot more sense. The first thing to understand is that adolescence isn't just about their hormones, right? We talk about the hormonal teenage years and all of these things, right? Like, oh, it's just hormones. Oh, it's just hormones, right? But what we don't often recognize is how much of the brain is actually undergoing kind of a transformation itself. Between the ages of 12 and 25, your teenager's brain is going to go through what neuroscientists actually call a second critical period of development. This is actually similar to the one they went through earlier in childhood. So, what does this look like? The prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for their impulse control, their planning, their reasoning, their empathy, is still being built. And so while they're older and we might have these expectations of them, some of those expectations may not actually align with what's going on in their brains in that season of life. At the same time, their amygdala, which is the emotional center of the brain, is fully online, right? It's fully sensitive. It's often running the show. So when your teen slams a door, ignores a rule, bursts into tears over something that you think is just like no big deal, right? They're not being irrational on purpose. Their brain is literally wired to feel first, think later. But this doesn't mean we have to excuse their harmful behavior, right? We can understand these things and be able to hold boundaries and space for them that's gentle, non-punitive, and actually helps them grow through those hard and difficult years. It does mean, though, that we're not going to take it personally. We don't expect all adult level responses from a brain that's not fully developed yet as well. So it's really important to remember where their brain's at. This transformation has a lot of impact on how they behave. So teens are going to seem super smart and brilliant 1 minute, and you're thinking, oh, great, they're so mature. But they might be reckless and seem a little bit inconsistent the next moment. You're going to see those flashes of maturity followed by epic meltdowns when they don't get the Wi-Fi password or go get to see their friends because you're doing family time instead, right? That's normal. That's totally normal and within the realm of what normal teenager development looks like. Their executive functioning, which includes their memory, their emotional regulation, flexible thinking, all of that, it's still developing. So what can sometimes look like defiance might be actually a sign of disorganization. What feels like laziness could be an emotional overload, and their nervous system just isn't able to do that thing. Sometimes disrespect might just be a sign of poor impulse control, especially if their nervous systems are already overloaded. So during the teen years, it's really important to shift from punishment to curiosity. Asking the question before you react of what's really going on here is going to help you a lot. As a parent, it helps you to start responding more like coaches instead of critics and drill sergeants. And that shift really is the heart of gentle parenting, right? We're shifting out of this highly punitive, very like strict space into a space that's I'm going to coach them and help them do better the next time, recognizing that it may take them a while to get there all the way on their own, right? Your teen's brain, when it's on stress, right? They've got school they're stressed about. They might have sports. They might have friends. They're thinking about college. All of those things are happening, right? Stress, as you know, as a grown-up, is where things start to get really real. Teenager brains are so much more vulnerable to stress, especially when they don't feel emotionally safe. So when you yell at your teen, you shame them, you punish them harshly, their brain goes into a survival mode. And when it goes there, you're going to end up with a fight, flight, or freeze response, which means they're going to fight you, right? They're going to try and run away, or they're going to freeze and not be able to really do anything. But in that state, just like with toddlers, they can't learn, they can't listen, and they're not in a place to reflect on what's going on. Their brain and bodies are just too busy trying to survive. So, nervous system regulation is a really huge component of gentle parenting. So, when you stay calm, when you breathe deeply, when you stay emotionally available during any kind of conflict, you send your teen's brain and body such a powerful message. You tell it that you're safe, you're not alone, you can calm down, and I am here to help. That's not being permissive. That's being emotionally wise. Scripture reminds us that a gentle answer turns away wrath and a harsh answer stirs up anger. And interestingly enough, neuroscience backs that up. So here you are. You're probably wondering, all right, Kristi, but what do I actually do with this info? So, three practical ways that you can support your teenager during this really challenging transitionary time. First of all, is to model regulation. We talk about this with toddlers. When you have toddlers, the same goes when you have teenagers. Just because they're a teenager doesn't mean that they're there yet, right? They're still training, they're still learning, they're still growing. But your calm and your ability to stay calm in the midst of their stress and their moments, right, can actually help regulate their nervous system when they feel overwhelmed, even if they're spinning out, even if they're struggling, right? The next thing you can do is to give space to problem solve. Instead of lecturing them or jumping in to fix their problems, right? You can ask them questions like, hey, what do you think your next step should be? What do you need right now? How can I support you to do this thing? Ah, I noticed you didn't get all of your schoolwork done when you said you had. Let's talk about that. What's going on for you? These kinds of things help build their prefrontal cortex, which helps them develop their own thinking skills, right? You're not thinking for them, you're not giving them the solution, you're giving them some space to problem solve. And if your child is really struggling with problem solving, you can say, hey, would you like me to give you a few options you can try? And if they say yes, hopefully that's where you're at that point, then you can give them a couple options. Hey, you could try this, we can do this, or we can do that, right? You give them those three options so it helps them to narrow down their choices. And they're like, oh, yeah, I like this idea. Or, oh, that idea sounds really good. Also, you're just going to have to connect. Connection is so important, even through the teenage years, especially through the teenage years. Your teen needs emotional safety just as much as your toddler did. And when they feel emotionally safe, the good news is they are so much more likely to receive your guidance, right? Connection isn't soft parenting. Connection is the core of what we get to do as moms, and it's strategic and it's holy work. And you don't connect so that you can correct. You connect because it is a core need for your child, and because of your connection, you'll be able to correct when the time comes. So that's kind of my spiel on that. But moms, your teen's brain is changing so fast, and your steady, loving, gentle-ish presence is gonna help anchor them, right? They may not always act like they need you, but deep down, they still need you for safety, stability, and compassion. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be present. You need to stay regulated and committed to the long game. Gentle parenting gives your teen's brain exactly what it needs to grow well. Relationship, not rejection, guidance, not guilt, and safety, not shame. So if this resonated with you, I love for you to share it with another mom walking the same road. And remember, understanding your teen's brain doesn't change how you parent in a moment, but it can transform your relationship for life. You've got this, and I am right here with you.